coming through when the growth look good on you. Best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's happening, people? What is going on, man? It's G. We're back in the building. Guys, as always, man, please make sure you are smashing that like button for me. Please make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Big up to those who are currently watching this video. You can see the title in the caption, or sorry, the caption in the title, should I say. Obviously, look, we're here to talk about Kylian Mbappe.
Mbappe, dog. Killy. Mbappe, dog. Killy. He will score, yeah. He will score.
Of course, we know, he's now made, well, it's not official, but he's going to be moving to Real Madrid for the beginning of next season. Fantastic player, really good player, one of the best players, probably top 3 at least, maybe even top 2, players in world football at this current moment in time. Listen, any club, if they had the finances, I think would be going in to sign someone like a Kylian Mbappe, just how fantastic he actually is, all the awards that he's won, the trophies that he's won, whilst playing for PSG, and of course, winning the World Cup as well, and actually starring in that World Cup, not just being a bit part player. Very good player, man. I can't say enough, about Kylian Mbappe, a player I would definitely love, at my club, Liverpool, or heck, I wish he'd actually gone, to Barcelona instead, but unfortunately, they can't really do those kind of deals. But, today, obviously, you can see the title, the Kevin Durant effect, and the only reason why I put that there, and really and truly, this is kind of, I guess, to ask everybody the question, because I've seen quite a lot of stuff on social media recently, like we all didn't know that he was going to move to Real Madrid for some weird reason. It seems like this came as a shock to so many different people. It seems like everybody was like, oh my goodness, he's going to Real Madrid. Like I never knew that was gonna happen, guys. I think we all knew he was going to Real Madrid. It's been set in stone, probably since, I would say, like, really set in stone, probably since he won the World Cup, if I'm being honest with you. And, how many years ago was that? And I think we all knew it was just a matter of time. PSG, of course, they tried to keep him. They wanted to keep him. The owners obviously come out previously, I think back in like 2021, mentioning that, Mbappe would never leave, and, he would never leave on a free, and, he would never be sold, and etc. But listen, even he can't, withstand the power. As much money as he's got, and as powerful as he might seem, to some people, you can't stop the power of Real Madrid. We're talking about the biggest and best club in world football. And I mean, the entire world. There is no club bigger than Real Madrid, none. And I'll be honest, there isn't any that even come close to the power of a Real Madrid. And that's just me being honest with myself. That I can't think of one club, in my personal opinion, in all of football, who come close to a Real Madrid. And I'm talking off the field, commercially, whatever. Other clubs might make, maybe in one season, they could potentially make more money than Real Madrid. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because you're talking about a global entity in Real Madrid. On the pitch, we already know, the Champions League might as well be called, the Real Madrid League, because the reality is it's only if they decide to give it out to somebody else. That's why all of us paupers, can then, potentially win a Champions League, here and there. And, their record, absolutely phenomenal. La Liga titles, Copa del Rey's, Super Cups, whatever you want to, put out there. Real Madrid have won the lot, and they've won it so consistently since God knows when, since God knows when. And I think when we're looking at someone like an Mbappe, like I said before, it's kind of inevitable that he was always going to join. I think this whole talk of, people just acting like he wasn't able or he's not allowed almost to join a Real Madrid. And I'm just like, you know how football works, right? The best players in the world usually will go to the best clubs in the world, and whether that's Real Madrid or Barcelona, Bayern Munich, teams of that kind of ilk, regardless, they're going to want to go there. Of course they will, because they're going to want to, create a legacy, and to have that attached to your name, to say, I played for Real Madrid, I won this at Real Madrid, it hits harder than any other club in the world. Listen, it hits so much harder. To say I've won, like a Modric or a Cruz or a Carvajal, Carvajal just won his sixth, was it his sixth, Champions League? Six. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Some clubs have six. Liverpool, that's one of the biggest clubs out there. But some clubs have six. He has six by himself. So let's even just remove the six that he's got. They'd still be on 9. They'd still be ahead of everybody. Like, it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. So, that kind of heritage, and I think we've even seen it more and more, over time and stuff like that. Especially in the last, 5-6 years, when we've seen it in the Champions League, they're just a team that when they're in certain situations, you just know what they're all about. You just know what they're going to do. You just know that this is just going to be the team that's just going to go through. If they don't, that's the shock. Them going through isn't the shock. It's always if they lose or don't make it to a final, that's the shock. And the kind of pressure that someone like a Kylian Mbappe, is going to be under whilst when he moves there officially, yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. But it's going to be interesting to see, man. Me personally, I look at it, and just before we kind of get into everything, I look at it and think, yeah, he deserves to move. Staying at PSG just he's not doing anything. I really don't understand, what everybody's talking about. I think it's quite naive and silly, if I'm being totally honest. Listening to some people and seeing some of the tweets and some of the messages and some of the things that have been said about Kylian Mbappe over the last couple of days in regards to his actual move to Real Madrid. I think it's just very naive. Like, it's people want him to join Burnley and hopefully get them into the Champions League. It's like, why would you do that? It's a bit like saying, why would Pep Guardiola manage one of the lower teams? What does that lessen their greatness more so? Like, I think in sports, sometimes fans can be so fickle. We love this underdog story, and listen, they're cute. They are very cute every once in a while, but in a general sense, ain't nobody care about that. It's all about the winners, and it's all about the people who can win. And guess what? He's a winner. He's proven it before. Winning the World Cup, winning, league titles and stuff like that. How many goals he scored, assists, and all these. He proves he's a winner. And you listen to where that Mbappe talks. This is where he needs to be. His ambition can only be matched by a Real Madrid. That is the only club in world football that can match his level of ambition. I don't understand why he would need to move. And heck, I'm not even saying, not even a Burnley. I'm just talking maybe even like a Liverpool and an Arsenal, or just other kind of teams that people are talking about. And I was like, I'll be honest, how dare you put them on the same level as a Real Madrid? Like, let's be real here. Let's be honest with each other. There's no comparison. You can't compare. It's like trying to compare players with Messi and Ronaldo. It's that kind of level where there's those two, and then the gap is just massive to the next player. Whoever that next player is, the gap is massive. And that's exactly what it is with club football. It's Real Madrid who sit at the top by themselves on their own table. They are the kings of football. They are the kings club. We're the waiters who, hand them the food and stuff. And I think we just need to understand that, in football. And I think the quicker fans understand that, I think the better we will all be, instead of this kind of, maybe he should go to this kind of club and create his own legacy. He is creating his legacy. By definition, he's literally creating it by going to Real Madrid and potentially winning. And again, nothing in here is guaranteed, by the way. It's not like he's going to go there and it's a guarantee that they're going to do this. We all remember the Galacticos, guys. Galacticos weren't popping. They weren't doing that much. They weren't as dominant as what people perceived them to be prior to, everybody moving there. When they had the Figos, the Dans, the Beckhams, the Carlos, Ronaldo, Owen, all of these kind of top players, they weren't popping like that. They didn't win the Champions League every single year. They win the La Liga every single year. It doesn't work like that. This is the point. But again, I just think that fans always feel like there's a sense of entitlement, and I've always hated that about fans, because I'll be honest, like, the reality is we're not entitled to anything. We're entitled at most to watch the games. That's a bit. We're entitled to be allowed to buy a ticket to go to the games. Outside of that, having a say on what players do and etc. etc. We need to leave that at the door. It's got nothing to do with us. You know, we don't need to be angry, happy, whatever. It's got nothing to do with us. It's really got nothing to do with us. So all of the hate and stuff that he's getting, like I said, man, it just sounds foolish to me, and it just almost sounds like, big up my guy Savage, like he always says, football snobbery. You know, it's just one of those kind of things. Oh, he should come to my club and create his own legacy. It's a bit like when Jude Bellingham went to Real Madrid last season, and you know, Liverpool fans were upset and were confused as to why he would go to that club when he can go there, you know, at the age of 25 after 5 years of it. It's like, why would you do that? I'm good enough to go, you know, to the best club in the world right now. Why would I wait? I'm just gonna go up these steps when I'm actually good enough. And as we've seen this season with his performances, so many different things, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So obviously, the reason why I call it the Kevin Durant, you know, effect, is purely because now, for those who watch NBA, and to be honest, you don't even need to watch NBA. Like, to be honest with you, you probably heard people speaking about it. Is Kevin Durant, you know, formerly played for Oklahoma City in the NBA. Was doing his thing there, you know, obviously came up as a rookie and, you know, done his thing. And, you know, he was a really, really, really good, talented individual, right? And he was definitely someone who was, in my opinion, almost like an Mbappe. And again, I'm not saying like for like in terms of whatever. I don't want people to get that confused. I'm just using these two as a comparison because it's quite similar with how their story's kind of gone, right? But Kevin Durant, the same thing, come through Oklahoma at first. Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, he looked nice, blah, 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 all that, etc., etc. But then, of course, as, you know, time gets on and, you know, he's getting into his groove, would I say, especially at Oklahoma City, then yes, of course, you know, back in the 2010-2011 season, you know, they reached the NBA playoffs and stuff like that. You know, they defeated the Denver Nuggets and Memphis Grizzlies en route to a conference finals matchup against the Dallas Mavericks, and then they obviously lost that in 5. And that's almost reminded me of when, you know, Mbappe get into like that semi-final with Monaco kind of team. But, you know, Oklahoma were a decent enough team. And when you have a player like, you know, Kevin Durant, especially at those young ages, we are really kind of moving. And as I said, it's very similar to then watching someone like a Kylian Mbappe kind of at the, not same age, because Kylian Mbappe was actually younger, but just in that same early infancy of their careers, you know, at this moment in time. You know, obviously difference, I guess, with Monaco is they ended up winning that Ligue 1 title. Fantastic team they had. I mean, we all remember Bernardo Silva, Mbappe, Radamel Falcao, Bakayoko. You know, they had some really, really good players, and Fabinho, you know, dotted around, you know, in the team. Really, really good team. It's like everything clicked at that right moment. I remember during that period of time as well with Monaco, they were trying to be like a PSG, you know, had money, we want to go buy this guy, buy that guy, blah, blah, blah. And obviously ended up getting, you know, Falcao. But everything just clicked at the right time, you know, for them. And, you know, they went on to, you know, be dominant, I say dominant, but they went on to have a good couple of seasons, have a really, really good, you know, couple of seasons. Now, obviously, which way should we go? I would say we'll start off with Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, the reason why people, you know, liken the two is because, of course, as we know, well, as those who know, Kevin Durant, as I mentioned, played for Oklahoma City. He's then moved to the best team in the league at the time anyway, which is the Golden State Warriors, right? My favorite team. You know, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green at the time, Idugawa, like they've got some really, really good players in their team. And again, they've also got other players dotted in around, but those, say, 3 or 4 players, especially the 3 franchise players, those are the guys you're like, okay, I can't wait to play with these kind of guys. And I never understood what the beef was when he moved there, because I was always like, again, that might just be me and me being naive in the way that some people view that sport. And obviously over there in America, maybe it's just the way that they view the sport. Same with Mbappe moving to a PSG at that moment in time. I never understood why people were like, right, I don't really get it, and etc. etc. You know, obviously going to Golden State Warriors for Kevin Durant, that obviously then enabled him. They lost previously in the previous season after, obviously Golden State Warriors won the NBA championships in the 2016-17 season, right? And they won it back to back. The season before this, 16-17, they obviously played Oklahoma, where Kevin Durant was playing. Obviously, Kevin Durant lost to this team. He's then moved to the team that he's lost to. So I'm assuming, and again, this is just me, maybe being a bit naive and maybe not knowing every single thing that's going on during that period of time, because that's probably around about the time that I started supporting the Golden State Warriors, and supporting, just following them, the most was, maybe it was because of that. Oh, how can you move to a team that just defeated you? Why wouldn't he? He has ambitions. And I feel like we are not understanding, like, you don't get into sport. You don't get into team sport, should I say, because you're looking at it thinking, I would love to do this with such and such. You get into these sports, you play sports. You don't wake up and say, yeah, you know what? Like, of course, you have a dream when you're a kid, right? I would love to play for this team and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is I'm not doing it so that I can only play for this one team. Because if that was the case, there wouldn't be that many footballers that we see, or any sports players, because rarely any of these guys get to play for the team that they even actually supported as a kid. Like, it's so rare. Like, you only if you come through an academy and then you're able to do that. And heck, some people who play an academy don't even support the team that they're playing for. It's one of those, like, you always got to look at things and just be like, which way can I navigate to get my, to reach my end goal, which is, I would love to be an NBA champion. I want to be an MVP. I want to win the World Cup. I want to win the Champions League. Like, all of these kind of things, you are sitting there selfishly. Of course it is. And rightly so. It's your career, not anybody else's. Selfishly, you are looking at these kind of situations and at these things and saying to yourself, I want to be this guy. I want to be able to be, in the conversations for the GOATs. Guess what? The only way I can do that is if I'm winning. It's very difficult for me to do that if I'm not really winning, right? Oklahoma City are not winning. So guess what? Let me go to the team that is winning. Let me go to the team that is the best at that current moment, in time, winning back-to-back championships. Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? And I get to play with some of the best players in NBA history. Steph Curry, one of the best point guards out there. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, defensive monster. Come on, man. Like, it's to me, I'm just like, I feel like obviously you as a fan, you're going to be mad because you're losing a very good player. I get that part. But the reality is, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Why would they care? Why should they care? This is what I talk about. This is what I spoke about before. The sense of entitlement from fans. You feel so entitled that he can't do that. How dare he do that? Heck, when he went when they played against Oklahoma the following season, when he had actually joined Golden State, they're booing him. I'm sitting there thinking, you lot are just sad. Like, go find another player to like. You've got players on your team. If anything, it sounds like you're being disingenuous to the rest of your team. You know what that sounds like? We have no faith in the rest of you guys. We don't care about the rest of you guys. This was our guy. How dare he move? That's the way I look at it. Might say, oh, that sounds silly, but that's exactly what you sound like. Silly. It sounds very stupid and very silly. Stop having this sense of entitlement. You are not entitled to these players' careers. They're going to do what's best for their own careers. And I'm all for players doing that. Of course, you're going to be sad. Of course, you're going to be upset. You might even be a little bit angry, but that's like that should be very, very, very short-lived. It shouldn't last too long, especially once that next season begins. I don't care about all of that. You ain't part of my team no more. I want to beat you guys. Heck, you might even say, I want to beat you even more because he's over there. No problem. Got no issues with that. And that's fine. Of course, obviously there's going to be that little bit of a, amped up kind of energy. But when we start going, too far, and it's like we're trying to micromanage these people's careers, and you're trying to make people feel bad for some of the moves that they make. And I'm just like, that don't really make no sense to me. Do you know what I mean? That never really makes, any sense to me. So when we look back at someone like Kylian Mbappe, obviously he then joins PSG. He does all of these things, and again, the goal over there at PSG, at the time they've got in Neymar. They spent like a world record fee to get him in. They've now spent a crazy amount of fee to then get Mbappe in. Initially, it was on loan, and then they had an obligation to buy. They're trying to build this kind of dynasty. Later on, they obviously get in, Lionel Messi, and they have this on paper, probably the best front three you're going to see in a long time, which is Neymar, Mbappe, and Lionel Messi, right? And you're thinking, Jesus Christ, like they have to win something. Well, when I say win something, they have to win the Champions League, because that's the ultimate goal, for these clubs, especially these clubs like Manchester City, PSG, and these kind of guys. That's their goal. They can win the league, as Pepper's just done. It's been four in a row, easy. PSG don't even know how many in a row. It's stupid. They know they can win that. That's the easy part, like the very, very easy part, because they're the best team in their own leagues. Now it's really about how do we do and how do we fare against these other teams, and that was kind of the goal, for him. During that period of time, he's obviously then gone on to win the World Cup, so his stock is rising at this point in time. And again, like I said, just like KD, their stock starting to rise. Obviously, KD didn't move to another team and then move to the Warriors, but whilst he's at Oklahoma City, his stock is rising. He's winning MVPs. He's winning this award, that award. Like, he's doing like crazy. Even if I run through, even just a minute amount of awards that this guy is winning. I mean, he's been a 6-time all NBA first team player, NBA scoring champion. He's been that 4 times. NBA All-Star Game MVP. He's been that twice. He was NBA Rookie of the Year. He was in the NBA All Rookie First Team. He's been an NBA champion twice, an NBA Finals Most Valuable Player. He's been that twice since moving to the Golden State. NBA Most Valuable Player back in 2014. That's why he's still with, so his stock is rising. He's been an 3-time Olympic gold medalist, FIBA World Cup gold medalist, the World Cup Most Valuable Player, USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year, won that twice, like whilst he was still at Oklahoma City. Like, his stock is rising crazy, just like Kylian Mbappe. Stocks are rising. So of course, I couldn't even be bothered to read through, all of Kylian Mbappe's, like awards that he's won just even throughout his career. World Cup Young Player Award, World Cup Dream Team, UEFA Team of the Year. He won the Copper Trophy, Ligue 1 Player of the Year, Ligue 1 Top Goal Scorer, French Player of the Year. And obviously he's won a lot of these whilst he's been at PSG. But this is what I'm talking about, is both players, their stocks are rising now. They are in this kind of, okay, now we're in this kind of position. Now we're in this kind of energy. The only move now, because obviously at my current team we're not winning, and again I go back to, and this is it's probably more fans versus reality, if I'm being honest with you, because now people are like, oh, PSG didn't win the Champions League, oh, Mbappe's a fraud, oh, Mbappe's this, Mbappe's that. France win the World Cup, oh, Mbappe's amazing, he's this, it's that. It's like, bro, it's not linear like that. I don't think it works like that in any sport, so to speak. Like, Michael Jordan will always be Michael Jordan, but he needed 4 other teammates on the team to be able to win. Can't do it all by himself. Can't always play by himself. He needs a Dennis Rodman. He needs a Scottie Pippen. Do you get what I'm trying to say? He needs a Kerr every now and again. Do you get? And Kerr is obviously the manager of Golden State Warriors, but he needs these kind of guys. Whether they're not in his level, whatever you want to say about them, he needs those guys as well to help him do these kind of things. And if they're not going to be up to a level in order for him to do this, then what do you guys expect? Kylian Mbappe can keep scoring, the amount of goals that this guy was scoring. Like, even if I look at, his record, since, let's just even take it, since he was, his last season at Monaco was 17-18, he only played 2 games, and then that's when he moved to PSG. But let's say his the season before that, he played 44 games, scored 26 goals. I think that's the year that they then obviously won the Ligue 1 title. He's doing what he needs to do. Since he joined PSG, it's been ridiculous numbers that this guy has actually just received. First season at PSG, 44 games, 21 goals. Second season, 43 games, 39. 37 games, 30 goals. 47 games, 42. 46, 39. 43, 41. 48, which is this season, 44 goals. In 308 appearances, he has scored 256 goals, people. This is a guy who's doing everything he possibly can. Bearing in mind, as I mentioned before, whilst doing all of these things, he's also won the World Cup. And by single-handedly dragged his team in the last World Cup to the penalty shootout in which they lost, and he scored in. So he's doing everything he possibly can in order to help his teams. Yes, he's going to stink up in some games. I've seen Mbappe stink in some games, like literally stink. And you're just like, rah, is this the same Mbappe? And guess what? I've also seen KD stink, even in the clubs that he's then joined, the team, that he's then joined afterwards, whether it be the Brooklyn Nets, the Phoenix Suns, whoever. I've seen him stink in games. But guess what? This is the reason why they go. Because they want to win, obviously, in their equivalent are being, the Champions League and stuff like that. Because you know why? He's tired of seeing this. He was tired of seeing this and saying, why am I not a part of this? I am good enough to win this too. I need to join a franchise that can allow for me to do that. So guess what? He did that. And then guess what? They then go back to back. Now, in this one, in 2018 finals, he was injured. So didn't obviously play a part, within that in terms of the finals itself. Like, didn't play much of a part, should I say, within that. But regardless, this is why he's joined, though. He walks away right now, even if he ended his career tomorrow, and say, thank God I moved, because at least I've got 2 rings. I'm not going to sit there like some of the great players we've seen. Allen Iverson, one of the best players we've seen. He ain't walking away with no... Now, obviously, Iverson, it almost come like the Steven Gerrard thing where you're like, yeah, but they're good though. You know what I mean? Like, the trophies ain't going to define them and stuff like that. And listen, I hear that. I fully hear that. But when we are having conversations about guys who have won things, it's a bit difficult, right? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, Allen Iverson, again, like a Steven Gerrard, you've had to be exceptionally good. And you've done the loyalty thing, but you've literally had to be exceptionally good in order for you to be named in these kind of conversations. Rightly so as well, by the way, because both players are obviously really, really good players in their own right. I get all of that. But the reality is, it's so difficult to then be put in with other players sometimes, like in certain discussions and in certain conversations. Like, we'd more be picking you based on, one, obviously your ability, but you didn't have the ability to win. Now, people might say, oh, but it's because of the team he's at. Guess what? If he moved, he probably would won one. And then he ends his career, and you say, on top of having the ability, guess what? You've also got the championships. You've also got the rings to sit in the room with these guys, to have the conversation with these kind of guys. Do you get what I'm saying? Where they're not bantering you. Now, your ability will get you so far. I get all of that. But when you sit back and your career ends, I don't care what I don't care what Gerrard says. I don't care what Iverson says. They can lie all they want for the media, but they definitely will sit there and think there's going to be a level of regret because I didn't win that one. In Gerrard's case, didn't win the Premier League. In Iverson's case, didn't win a championship. You're definitely going to sit there and screw, bro. You're definitely going to, especially when, in your opinion, well, in most people's opinion, you're probably better than most of the players who have won this thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, of course, I'm not saying it's the B's and E's, but when you are this kind of player, like these kind of players who are just built to win, that's what your mentality is going to be like. Your mentality is going to be, I want to win. I want to win. I'm doing everything I possibly... Like, in the end, man just feels sorry for you after a while. And I do think a little bit of that plays into how we then talk about some of these players. Like, you end up just feeling sorry for them. Yeah, he was good, man, but he just didn't win. You know what I mean? He just didn't win the championships, man. But he was really good, though, man. Trust, like, really, really good. But if you was to pick a an all-star 5 right now, I don't think Iverson gets into most people's. Not because he isn't a sick player, but you've got all of these other guys where you're like, I couldn't pick them ahead of... I can't pick you ahead of them because, as well as them being really, really good ability-wise, guess what separates them? They've won multiple championships. Gerrard, the same kind of thing. You would be like, yeah, he's really, really good, but if we're doing a World 11 or Premier League 11, most people are putting other players ahead of him. Whether you think it's right or wrong, irrelevant. You just end up putting other players because you say, well, they were also good and they also won. So it's like, I can't scrutinize a person for winning because they actually won. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You're not getting brownie points for not winning. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not giving you more points for winning. We're feeling sorry for you that you didn't win, but we rate your ability. But it stops there almost because you're like, yeah, but he didn't win that. Yeah, but he didn't do that. So now what? You know what I mean? Where do we go from here? And this is the point I make when I'm talking about a KD, when I'm talking about a Kylian, Mbappe, in regards to, what they were trying to do, what they're trying to achieve and things like that. Like I said, it's very, very similar, with both players. And of course, as we know now, Kylian Mbappe, as I mentioned before, will be joining Real Madrid. And as I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, I just need people to stop all the hate, man. It just sounds so forced, like at this kind of point. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, it just sounds very, very silly. And again, just like with KD as well, the hate is just pointless. I mean, KD now, as I mentioned, he's playing for the Phoenix Suns at this current moment in time. But he did obviously join, the Brooklyn Nets prior to that. Again, they were trying to create their own kind of thing, at this current moment. Well, I say at this current moment in time. This was back in 2021, but they were trying to create their own thing, with the, with the Kyries and stuff like that. So, I kind of understood what they were also trying to do, because they also wanted to try and create that, but sometimes it's hard to manufacture those kind of things. It's going to be difficult to manufacture that. He walked into a team that had already won and were not used, but like they were already had the winning mentality. So to then go to another team to try to create that, it's like people still looked at that and was like, yeah, well, he can't be that good anyway, because I'm like, pro, again, it's not just those two. Like, I don't get it. Like, the best players in the world only won because they had teammates. It's a team sport at the end of the day, guys. Like, it's literally a team sport. Yes, in one-offs, yeah, you can do that. Knockout games in Champions Leagues, you can do that. You can have the one, the performance of your life. But when we're talking about championships, like, kind of thing, man need the players, bro. I can have an amazing playoff series. My team still loses. Do you know what I mean? My team still loses. I can, like Kevin Durant, he can average the most points ever averaged in a playoff series. Guess what? Your team still lose. Now what do? You've done everything you need to do. Mbappe can score all of these goals, can do all of these things. Your team still lose. Now everyone's looking at you. You didn't do enough. What? Hear what I'm saying? I've been doing enough. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I've been doing enough. Go chat to those guys. Go speak to those people over there. Because they're not doing enough. They're not up to par. They can't help me win. Guess what? I'm going to go somewhere that can help me win. I'm going to go somewhere that's going to help me win. And like I said, that's just my feelings and my thoughts behind that, in regards to a KD and, a Kylian Mbappe, kind of thing. Both players, I just think the scrutiny is stupid. I think it's very, very stupid. And I will say it 100 times over. It's very, very stupid. Y'all just sound stupid. Like, honestly, it just sounds stupid from both sets. Whether it be people hating on Mbappe, whether it be people hating on Kevin Durant, it just sounds dumb, bro. Honestly, it just sounds dumb. Just sounds like you're hating. You want this fantasy world that in fantasy world, in NBA 2K, you become this player who plays for this team and you're able to help your team to, win a championship, or because you're playing, on my player, it's going to be mostly your player who scores, give or take the majority of the points in every single game. You're never going to have a game where you're not scoring the most. Like, this is real life, people. This is people's careers that they're talking about. They want to leave it with that legacy. And at least now, Kevin Durant can always, as I mentioned before, could look back and say, hey, I've got that. 2 NBA Finals most valuable player. 2 NBA championships. Otherwise, he may not have those 2, and that's just those 2. He'd have all the other cute stuff, again, like the Iverson stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? Scoring champion, NBA All-Star Game, MVP, Rookie of the Year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all great. That's all great. And you know what I mean? Those are like individual awards before, for recognition for what you've done throughout a season. That's great. That is banging. That's banging. But guess what? See them two rings that he's got there. See them rings that you got on your finger. Yeah, not many people have that. Not many people have that. So be privileged. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Steven Gerrard, same thing. You know what I mean? No Premier League trophy. Do you know what I mean? He's done his heroic thing. He's helped us in a Champions League final. He's helped us in an FA Cup final. Where's the Premier League though? For as great as you were, like, and again, what are people going to say to that? Yeah, but look at the team that he had. Exactly. You're going to need your teammates to be on par. That's why I don't criticize these guys in that kind of way and say, like, and look at them so singularly and say they're the reason why they didn't win it. That doesn't make any sense. They are the reason why they're even considered to be able to win it in the damn first place. They're the reason why people even give them a chance. Ain't nobody giving Liverpool a chance without Steven Gerrard in his prime. No way, Jose. He is the reason why you're giving him a chance, because of how good they are as a player. Mbappe, same thing at PSG. And, you know, Kevin Durant, the same thing when he was at Oklahoma City. He's the reason why they're giving, again, alongside other players, but he's the reason why people think something could potentially happen. The other players are the ones who are going to help make it happen. And that's always going to be the difference, people. But like I say, man, let me know what you guys think on this whole Kylian Mbappe to, you know, Real Madrid. Do you think it is quite similar to Kevin Durant's move from Oklahoma City? Like I said, people, I don't care that they lost to them the previous season. Please do not bring that up as an argument, because I will just rebuttal it very, very quickly. But let me know, of course, what you guys think in the comment section below, people. I'm G. That's the video done and dusted. We out.